Sarah.
I'm Nick.
And today on SOCMOM and Friends,
We're going to be talking about games that we've played so far in 2020 and things that we're excited about gaming related in 2020.
Yeah. So we are trying a little bit of a new format out. We're going to try to get some videos out on a fairly regular basis. We're doing a few learn to plays, some sort of just playthroughs with the two of us. And then we would like to shoot for one episode of SOCMOM and Friends a month, consistently for the next year. And that's really kind of my goal.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, at least one video a week of just gaming content. You teaching game, us playing games, convention coverage, and then just fun stuff.
It's very hard for me to be consistent about this because there are so many other commitments in my life that I feel are honestly sometimes more important. My job, my family, that kind of stuff. It's very hard for me to actually come out with content on any kind of regular basis. But it's something that we really enjoy and we're trying to be a little bit better about. So, new year, let's see how it goes.
New year, new me.
Also this year, we've made a resolution. We're not huge on resolutions, but I feel like this one was kind of important. We made a resolution not to buy a single new game in all of 2020. Now, there are some caveats to this. We're not including Kickstarters, and we don't back a whole lot of Kickstarters anyway, so that's not going to factor in too much, but we're not counting Kickstarters. We're also not counting games that we will be gifted or games that I earn through working at conventions or through the demo programs that I'm in. And we're also not counting games that we're able to buy with existing store credit we already have on our accounts at our various friendly local game stores. So
loopholes!
Yeah, that does give us a little bit of wiggle room, but we're not going to spend any cash on games this year. It's been difficult, and I already made one little mistake. I was out thrift shopping the other day with my mom, and I found Dragon Strike for, I think it was like $2.50 at the thrift store, and I decided to grab it. I was really excited that I found it for so cheap, and I completely forgot about the rule that we weren't going to buy any new games this year, and I bought it. So I've already kind of broken the rule just a little bit, and for this game...
Just a smidge.
For this game...
it was only at a thrift store, so...
Yeah, it was at a thrift store, so it wasn't that bad. But, like I said, we're trying to stick with not buying any new games. We did play this one.
Yeah.
It was pretty silly.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video on that on our channel, Meeples on the Ground, and we have a little, it was a really improv or like a quick spur-of-the-moment video. So we got it with the gimbal and a phone, and we shot it, and it was fun. It was ridiculous.
It's really silly.
Yeah, like young kids would really enjoy this version, but actually I don't know if they do this version anymore.
I don't think they make this anymore. I'm not exactly sure when this game came out, but it's got a battery-operated dragon inside, and his neck is made up of multiple segments, and it whips around and knocks down adventurers as they try to steal its gold and jewels and that kind of thing. It was really silly. I feel like for the $2 or $3 that we paid for it, we definitely got our money's worth out as far as entertainment value. It was really fun to just kind of enjoy something silly and ridiculous and not have to be concerned about, learning a lot of, complex rules or being very competitive with it.
Yeah, it was a very fun, lighthearted game, and it was just ridiculous. Like, what game right now is using a mechanical dragon that whips around its head to, give you that being the adversity? You're like, what?
It's just ridiculous. We've also added to our collection the Isle of Cats, which we had kickstarted last year and fulfilled just, I think, last week, right? We've only had it for just a little while. We've played once, right?
Yeah, once.
We really liked it. I can't wait to play again. It was a lot of fun. It's pretty well produced. And
so huge.
It was a much bigger box than I expected.
Yeah.
And generally, I think that's been the consensus for a lot of backers. A lot of people are saying they weren't expecting it to be such a large package. But it was really fun, and I liked it, and I'm excited to play again.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And then
Awesome.
the last couple games that we've added to our collection this year were sent to us by Grandpa Beck's Games. So the first one is Cover Your Kingdom, which is a new Cover Your Assets game that they have just recently wrapped up a successful Kickstarter on. And then they also threw in a copy of The Bears and the Bees when they sent this to us. We already had a copy of The Bears and the Bees, so it was nice to get another one. We'll end up passing that along or using it as a demo copy or something like that. But Cover Your Kingdom, we did a how to play video of that, and that should be up, I think, later this week.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Later this week. It was it's a really fun game, and it's I like some of the new mechanics. If you've ever played Cover Your Assets, the foundations of the mechanics are the same, but this one has a little bit more going on, and the art is fun and kind of silly, but also it's that, hidden humor type thing. It's got some layers to it.
It does, definitely. And has like varying of difficulty and complexity of like how much you want to get into it. And we played a very light version of it, which was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has a lot of ways that you can sort of adjust the complexity. You can make it more easy or more difficult, or kind of depending on just how you feel playing. And because we were learning the game, we played one of the easiest versions.
Yeah.
I
this
think
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to explore there, a lot to discover still. And it supports 2 to 8 players, which means that we can play just the 2 of us, or we can play with family and friends. We can get a lot of people involved in that one. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of some of the more complicated versions of the game, and then also how it plays with more people, the more people we add.
Yeah, definitely.
So those are the only new games we've added this year. Like I said, because of our resolution not to buy any new games, hopefully we won't be adding that many new games this year. Last year, it really felt a little bit, not exhausting, but almost to that end, that we were just constantly influxing and resorting our collection, and trying to fit things on the shelf, and trying to get through huge stacks of games we hadn't played, and that kind of thing. And it just got to a point where I really felt like it was a slog just to deal with the number of games that were coming in all the time. And I'm thankful, and when we love this hobby and we love our collection, but it was just getting a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, when you're getting so many games, you don't even know what kind of games are on your shelf.
Yeah.
Or like, you get games based on Board Game Geek ratings or recommendations through friends or content creators or people in the industry or people that you play games with, and you're just like, oh, I'll get this game, that game. And recently we've been playing like a lot of our games lately because we've done, just that resolution, and there were a few that were just opened, played a little bit of it, and we're just like, nope.
Yeah, so
we've
actually, I think, partially because we aren't so invested in the acquisitions part of the hobby.
Yeah.
We've been playing a lot more games. And we already this year, it's only, I think, 26 days into the year, we've already played 27 games. And 22 of those uniquely. So we've played 22 unique games, 27 games in total this year, and a bunch of them were games that we've had on our shelf for a while, some of them, and like we'd just never played before. So it's been really cool to kind of sort of rediscover some of our existing collection, and I think that I feel like I have the mental capacity to do that because we're not so focused on the acquisitions part of it. And that's really nice.
Yeah, and we found some, jewels in the pile of treasures.
Yeah.
And just, it's awesome. Like, so many games come out in a year, and heck, even at a convention, you'll have hundreds and thousands of games sometimes come out, and you'll just be like, well, where is it all? Like, where's the ones I like? And, once you start, playing them. I mean, we played a couple just today that we were like, whoa, this is like something really cool that we didn't even figure out that was here. And just because, the hobby is heavily saturated with just how many games come out a year.
But our collection is also pretty saturated with games that we're not that familiar with, if at all. And so it's nice because we have a really nice starting out point where it's okay if we don't buy games for the next year because we have enough games in our collection. We can still discover a ton of new games They may not be brand new, but they're new to us. We've never played them before, or we played once some time ago. We vaguely remember that we liked it or something like that. So there's still going to be that feeling of discovery, that influx of new. It just won't be at an expense of money and time and, all that. So
yeah, but there's still going to be games that get sent to us. I mean, we've got Cover Your Kingdom was sent to us.
Yep.
And, we did that video, and just, we've got people that are in the industry that we're friends with that just like, hey, we want to show you our game, or
which
hey,
is awesome. We
games?
love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing, especially when we personally know some of the creators behind these projects. It's really cool to get to see their labor of love come to be and to actually exist as a game. And I really enjoy when I know the people behind the project. I really enjoy getting to see what they've done, getting to be proud of them for their efforts and that kind of thing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and also we get to show all the people that we live around, our games and what games we've just came off the press that we're like excited to show people, because, and then we also tell people that we have friends that, hey, we just played this game that you would really enjoy because this is your type of game. And that's one of the most exciting things about this hobby, is just sharing everything we know and the games. And when people, we walk around town and talk to people about what we do, or you do mostly, and we're able to say there's so many other games out there. That's just awesome.
On the flip side of that, though, of the 22 games we've played this year that we had never played before, 5 of them were absolute misses for us. Yeah. We either opened it up, learned the rules, and then immediately said, we're just not even going to try this. Or we opened it up and we played through part or all of a game and said, this is not for us. And we decided to go ahead and move those out of our collection. So that's not many, right? 5 out of the 20 some odd games that we played. But it was surprising to me how distinct the feeling of this is not for me was, how quickly that was. And I think we've talked about this before. I think we're at the part of our hobby lifespan that we sort of know ourselves, we know what we like, we know what we don't like. We're interested in learning new things all the time still, but we kind of understand about ourselves what we appreciate in games and what we don't. And so we can make those snap judgments that are still fairly well thought out, I think. Yeah. Even one of the games that we got rid of, it had a decent span of play count. I think it was like a 1 to 5 count game or something like that. And it had just been the 2 of us to play the first time. We didn't even finish the game. We said, this is not for us. We're not having a good time. We don't want to spend any more time of our time doing this. And we decided to move on. And we were very critical about that. We thought, okay, are we sure? Maybe it'll be improved with more players. Maybe we'll like it better if we were, doing this or doing that. Maybe this variation.
Or rules check and make sure.
Yeah, we made sure we were doing the rules. We made sure we were actually playing correctly.
5 or 6 times. You'll be like, I've checked it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
And so at a certain point, we just know that game is not for us. And so we have removed, like I said, about 5 titles from our collection already this year. And that's another thing that I'm kind of excited about as the year progresses and we play more and more of our collection, is not just discovering the games we really like that are already in our collection, but discovering games that we can move away from, that I no longer have to feel committed to mentally, emotionally, or otherwise. I can just say, we tried this, wasn't for us. There was no one in our game group or in our life that is going to, enjoy this, so we can move on from here.
Yeah, and we'll, hopefully in the future we'll be able to talk about some of these experiences, because there are games that people are like so excited about, or artwork that looks so good, or a couple like hot mechanics that we enjoy that once we actually play it, we're like, wow, this is nothing how it usually feels for us or me, and we're like, this is just not the game I was thinking it would be. Because some of those games were like, man, we're so excited to play this, and then we start learning it, or she starts learning it, to be honest, and teaching it to me.
I'm the teacher.
She's the teacher, and I absorb it, and then
he turns around and beats me with the information
only
that I
because I was taught so well.
So there were 3 games in our collection that we've played already this year, though, that we are having a lot of fun with. One was Isle of Cats. We already mentioned that one. That one's been a lot of fun. Can't wait to further explore that one. Another one is Clank Legacy. We're about 6 games through the 10-game campaign of Clank Legacy, and I'm really, really enjoying that.
Yeah.
Clank is one of my all-time favorite games, and Legacy is the best way to play a game ever if it's done well, and I really think that Clank Legacy has been very well executed, and it's been a ton of fun to play through the campaign so far. I do have one minor criticism, and this is completely a personally based criticism. This is not actually like a critique of the game itself, but the theme in the Clank Legacy is the Acquisitions Incorporated theme, which is a graphic novel series, I believe, right? And like a cartoon or a graphic novel series, or something to that effect. Obviously, don't know much about it. I was not familiar with Acquisitions Incorporated before Clank Legacy, and I'm only acquainted with it now because of Clank Legacy and because PAX Unplugged has some ties to that franchise as well. And the theme heavily permeates the game. So it's very tongue-in-cheek bureaucratic. And it's very, very heavily themed with this Acquisitions Incorporated theme. And while you don't need to know anything about that franchise in order to enjoy the game itself, it does seem to just really permeate the game. And sometimes it's just kind of like, okay, like enough of this silly bureaucracy. Yeah. So that's kind of a minor criticism. But other than that, I've been absolutely loving the campaign. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And I really think that they're doing a great job balancing the sort of the growth, the physical growth of the legacy game. So, you're adding new cards, you're tearing up cards, or adding stickers to the board, that kind of thing. And in a lot of legacy games that I've played, I feel like that can really detract from your experiences. You have to kind of pause the game to go read a passage or, go find that card that you're supposed to add. And I've found that a lot of times I feel like legacy games haven't quite mastered the ability to have you incorporate the legacy elements without taking you out of the experience a little bit. And I think that Clank Legacy has done it the best of any legacy game I've ever played.
And that might be contributing to it had so many, so much like games beforehand. Like it wasn't just Clank Legacy, it was, Clank in Space, all the expansions to that. So, you could kind of take it from it. And, you have all the graphic novels or whatever that narrative behind it. So you can kind of keep it growing. So it could grow more in a balanced way.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying that one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's another game that we just played today for the first time ever.
Yeah.
I got it through one of the demo programs that I was in. That particular program has points that you earn as you demo games, and I spent some of my points to get Town Builder Cavorden, I believe is how it's said. Town Builder Cavorden. And this is a little tiny engine builder type.
It's slightly engine builder.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of engine builder.
A little bit of set collection, collecting cards, building, getting cards to make something. There's a card where you get
probably
a foundation.
Resource management type things.
Management.
And I really liked it. We opened it up and I didn't know a whole lot about it. I had read a brief blurb and I thought, oh, that sounds fun. Well, I'll spend my points on that. And so I had gotten it and we put it on the shelf and we had just kind of moved on. And then I was looking for a new game to play today, and so we were like, let's try this one. And we
were looking for something that wasn't terribly huge, massive.
Yeah.
We're like, okay.
We don't want to have to learn something
my brain's
crazy.
Gonna have to hurt.
Yeah, we don't want to learn anything really crazy or to spend a lot of time on it. And we opened that one up, and it was fun. I actually really enjoyed it, and At first I thought, based on what I could see of the cards and everything, that it was going to be kind of repetitive. But because each building had a unique ability, or because there was so many different ways in which the cards could potentially interact, I really thought that it captured my attention pretty well and held it for the length of the game, too.
And, some cards had a certain ability, like military buildings had certain abilities that kind of were specific to them. But it almost wasn't like you couldn't tell, like, okay, military buildings have this kind of effect.
Yeah.
These buildings have this kind of effect. And then, there are goals of in-game goals where you can get points. And then there's the end-of-game goals where if you have the most of a certain color or a certain building, you're able to get those points.
I thought that it was challenging, but not so much so that was frustrating. And I also thought that it was interesting enough to keep my attention for the length of the game. And I enjoyed it. I thought the artwork was charming. And it was a little subtle, but I thought that it was a charming artwork. At one point, I looked out over my town, which I had been building, and I had, I had like a little fountain. I had an inn and, a garden. And it just seemed like it was very picturesque, So that was kind of a neat little way in which the theme sort of came through. That wasn't intrusive or demanding or anything like that, but it was fun. You're going to hear our chatty cat in the background. He would like to, you want to co-host with us?
He wants all the snuggles.
Do you guys have pets? What kind of pets do y'all have at home? Let us know in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
So we mentioned earlier in this episode that we were planning on not purchasing any games this year. I have one in particular, an expansion that I know is slated to come out this year that is going to be very tricky for me not to want to buy when it comes out. Do you have anything like that?
The unknown. Unknown being the games that are coming out that I don't know about yet.
I see, okay.
And that all of a sudden I'll know and then be like, well, dang. Well, dang.
Well, for me, Mystic Vale is coming out with an expansion this year, and it's going to be very difficult for me not to want to go out and grab that. And like I said, we are excluding games that we're able to purchase with existing store credit that's already on our accounts.
And games through Kickstarter.
And Kickstarted games, and games we earn through demo programs and at shows and stuff like that. But if I'm not able to get Mystic Vale through any other means, I might end up spending some of our very precious store credit on that expansion, because that is one of my all-time favorite games. I have everything that's ever come out for it up to date. And
upgrades.
And upgrades, and the playmat, and all kinds
BGG
of stuff.
just announced, or Rodney just announced off of BGG's site, that there's going to be new Geek Up bits.
Yes, so that brings up an interesting thing. When we made the resolution not to buy any new games, we did not specify that we couldn't upgrade our existing games. I think I found a
board games,
bit
so
of a loophole there.
Anything upgrading is okay.
And I love to upgrade my games. I do, cycling back to the idea, though, the original idea of kind of wanting to rein ourselves in here. And let's just pause for a second and caveat this. This is a personal choice that reflects our beliefs about ourselves. This is a very individualistic thing. We in no way mean to pass judgment on anybody else for anything that you do. If you like to buy a new game every day for the year, that's awesome. Tell us about the games that you are so excited to add to your collection.
And if you're the person that likes being a collector and likes getting, special games or games that come out, and you go to the conventions, or you don't, but you just like to get games, this is not in any way like, you should be doing this.
Not at all. This was just a personal choice. I was getting very fatigued with having new games influxing into our collection all the time and trying to keep up with those mentally and otherwise. And so this was just a personal choice that we've made. However, again, no judgment on what you're doing with your collection this year either.
Yeah.
So I topic jumped. We were talking about the Mystic Vale expansion.
And the upgrades.
Oh yeah, so the upgrades. So I realized that upgrades were not included in our resolution not to buy any board games. And I really like to upgrade my games. So that might be one area where I end up splurging a little bit this year.
Just a smidge.
And like Nick was saying, they did just announce that the Mystic Vale, I'm not going to remember the name of them, the canon name, but in the game there are some black victory point tokens and they have upgraded in the past the regular standard blue victory point tokens. There's a Geek Up bit set for those, and they just announced that they're upgrading the black ones as well. So I'm very excited about that. When they came out with the blue ones, I snatched them up like immediately. Because like I said, Mystic Vale is one of my favorites, and we've got all the upgrades for that one. But I said right away, I wish they would come out with the black ones. It's going to be weird to have the blue ones upgraded and not the black ones upgraded. So I'm super excited that they're finally coming out with that upgrade. And then the Herb Witches expansion for Quacks of Quedlinburg is also being restocked later this year, and that's a thing we're going to have to snatch up as well, I think.
We're just going to have to go down to Texas, jump in and break into BGG's vault and be like, we'll be running out there with the Meeple Hounds chasing us.
The BGG booth is actually one of my favorite booths to visit at conventions where they attend, just because I love looking through all of the promos and the upgrades and things like that. So it's going to be kind of fun to spend some of our board game budget that we would normally be spending on new games. We're going to spend it on games we already have. But I do want to be kind of disciplined with that. Make sure that it's a game that we actually enjoy. Not just like, oh, well, we own that game. We've never played it before. I don't know if we like it or not, but I'm going to buy all the upgrades for it.
To get that itch, we asked how to spend all the money on upgrades. And then next year, no upgrades, just board games.
It'll just be a cycle. So, we have, it's only about 3 weeks into the year, but we've already been doing a little bit of traveling this year. Near the beginning of the year, we went down to Wilmington, North Carolina. It's just a few hours from here. We just took a little tiny mini vacation, went down to the beach, stayed there for a few days. And while we were there, we visited Cape Fear Games, which is one of our all-time favorite stores. It's a beautiful shop. It's really well run, and it's clean, organized, well lit. It's beautifully presented. It's just a really solid store. We definitely recommend Cape Fear Games. This year, or last year, just within the last 6 months or so, I believe, they have opened a board game cafe, which is right next door to Cape Fear Games. And it has a walk-through door in between the two, so you can actually walk from the cafe into the store and vice versa. And so we had not yet been, and when we found out that they had opened, we decided that we would go down there, and we'd use part of our vacation to go and explore the sideboard, which is this game cafe that they've opened. We spent about 2 days there. We went down and we spent all of one day there. We got there when they opened, and we left when they closed, and we stayed there all day. We played a bunch of games we brought from home. We played some of the games in their demo library. We tried tons of the food on their menu. They have lots of really good options, a lot of interesting options, and we tried just about anything we were even remotely interested in trying over the course of those 2 days. And then the next day we came back, and we camped out for probably most of it. We got there around lunchtime, and we left shortly after dinner time that day. But throughout that time, like I said, we tried pretty much everything we wanted to try on the menu. We played some of the games in their demo library. We checked out the store next door. And we had a fantastic time with it. The staff were really friendly and nice. It's a clean, well-lit establishment. Those are kind of big deals for me. Don't pick up on that.
Yeah, you don't want the stereotype of a game store and being all disgusting, especially, if it's linked to like a cafe, and then you don't want that trimming over to the cafe where you're there to eat and play games, and all of a sudden, the food's just like, oh.
Yeah, but the food was good.
And the presentation was amazing.
Presentation was fantastic.
Pretty awesome.
Overall, the way the food was plated up was beautiful. The restaurant itself was really nice. They had these gorgeous shadow-boxed games on the walls. And it was a nice place. I enjoyed being there. There was it's very casual, very open, very friendly environment. And we just kind of hung out. We played games. We looked through Game Trade magazines. I did some work on my laptop while we were there. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was an awesome time. Great time.
And then, so we've been working and just doing regular stuff.
Yeah.
But this coming weekend, we are going to be at Tantrum Con.
Oh, yeah.
In
2020!
in Spartansburg, South Carolina. So I'm going to go down there to host the South Carolina State Championships for Envoy and Double Exposure. That's my job. I'm the tournament director for Double Exposure. And hosting some of the championship games is what I do. So I'm going to go down there and I'm going to host the South Carolina State Championships. If you want to come, I would love to meet you in person, or I'd love to say hi again. And if you want to participate in the championships, it's absolutely free. You do need a badge to get into the Tantrum Con show, obviously, but the championships are free. And if you don't know how to play the games, that's okay. I can teach you how to play. Most of them are pretty easy to pick up on. And then if you want to participate in the championship, you absolutely can. What we're going to do is we have 9 championship games, and we are going to play multi-round tournaments for each of those. So it's going to be probably about 3 preliminary rounds, a round being a full game. With some tournament conditions. And then after 3 full games, we will cut about half of the players to play a semifinal round, and then we'll go into a final round. And each round of the tournament is a full game, so if you play through the whole thing, there's a chance you could play up to 5 or 6 games of that particular game, so you'll know it really well, even if you didn't know it to start with, if you get all the way through. And the top 4 participants of each game get a copy of the game, and then the winner of every tournament gets a badge to go on to the next level of the tournaments. So there's going to be a regional after the states, and so we will give you a badge to the regional show in addition to a room share. So you'll get a hotel room that you'll share with other winners, and you can participate in the regional level. And then if you win at regionals, you move on to nationals, which is at Gen Con, and we'll actually provide you with a badge to Gen Con and a room share in one of the Golden Circle hotels. So those are the hotels that are right there up against the convention center. So that's a fantastic prize package. In addition to that, not only do you win a copy of the game, but if you make it all the way to nationals, so you win at nationals, you win a prize package worth at least $250 from the publisher of the particular game that you are the champion of. And then you also get to call yourself the champion of that game.
And you get some sweet trophies.
Yeah, they're very cool trophies at every level. So that's sort of my little plug. That's what I'm going to be doing at Tantrum Con and at several shows over the course of the year. I would love to see you at any one of the shows, whether it's just for a minute and you stop by the tournament area and say hi, or if you actually participate in the tournaments. I'd love to see you. Come by and trade pins with me if you want to do that. That's one of my favorite hobbies, and with the advent of board game pins becoming more and more popular, I've started taking my pins on the road with me, and I do a traveling emporium of pin trading. So come by and trade pins, come by and say hi. Or come by and play in one of the tournaments. I'd love to see you at the table.
Yeah. And I will be there as Meeples on the ground to cover the convention on TantrumCon 2020. Going to go and talk with exhibitors, special guests, TantrumCon themselves, and also people at the convention. So if you see me around with a goofy camera gear, that is just going to be...
He's got quite a setup.
It's going to be quite the setup. It's going to be very mobile. And if you see me, come talk to me. And I'd love to see how you're doing at TantrumCon, and just like favorite games, what you're excited about 2020, maybe what kind of games you already bought at TantrumCon. Be awesome.
Something that's kind of cool about TantrumCon, this year and last, this is only their 3rd year and only their 2nd as a big 3-day show. Their first year they were they did like a library day type thing, and then last year was their first full expanded show, and then this year will be their 2nd expanded show. They have always placed a lot of value on being able to give away a ton of stuff at this show. So they have over $30,000 worth of games and giveaway items that they're going to be just giving to attendees at this show. So I don't know what we're going to bring home, but it should be pretty good. We'll see. We'll see.
Pretty awesome.
We also, last year when we went, we got a board game backpack. So it's one of those big, obnoxious backpacks that you can put a bunch of games in and carry it around. And I love it. The quality is fantastic. It's lasted all year long while I've drug my games to and from work and, play days and all this stuff. And it's held up extremely well.
And
it
there's
looks
actually
great.
Going to be a new one this year.
Yeah.
That's going to be like a side, like kind of like a satchel, but it's going to be like, board games. It's kind of like a quill for like small games or games you take out and you put in this little container, but it's going to be for like the boxes too, and you can sling it on your shoulder and be on your hip, and it's just be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what other kind of merchandise they have. They usually have some pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that about covers everything that we've been doing.
Yeah.
Everything that we're going to do. Like I said at the beginning of this, we are attempting a new format, so we're going to be putting this up on YouTube and my website, which is www.settlerofcatan.mayorofmachicoro.com. And we're aiming for once a month with this style of podcast or video type thing.
Yeah.
And
including with all the other videos that you'll get on the channel Meeples on the Ground. And also, while you're at SettlerofCatan.mayorofmachicoro.com, you can also check out all the articles Sarah does, because she'll go to conventions and then she'll write up articles, because she'll also call them game quests, where we go and go to game stores, check them out. There's a lot of cool game stores just around places. Sometimes
there really are. There's some neat places out there.
There are some new ones. Some are less than.
So I try to always be positive, right? If I have a subpar experience, then either I don't talk too much about it, or I try to pair it up with something that was good, that I enjoyed about that particular trip or that kind of thing. Sometimes I don't feel the need to talk about a store at all. If it was just not that remarkable, I just don't talk about it. But if it ever was a genuinely bad experience, then I will talk about that. So it's either got to be really good or really bad, or there has to be something unique or special about it for me to talk about on the website. But I do write those up. They're called Game Store Quests. And because I travel so much for work, I end up getting to see a lot of really neat places and meet a lot of really cool people in the industry. And that's kind of one of my ways of just sort of cataloging that and reminiscing about it, is that I can write up those articles and then just kind of share them with the world. And anybody who's interested in reading them can find those on my website as well. So.
Okay. All right. Well, this was SOCMOM and Friends, and until next time, keep playing games and have fun. Bye.